Welcome to the Pantheon Parenthetical. My name is Lance Ash. In the early 80s, Andy Summers and Robert Fripp collaborated on 2 albums of guitar-based instrumentals. The 2 albums complement each other in that they have music which is all of a piece, and they have very similar album covers. Certainly very similar album cover design. Now, it has been a recurring thought experiment of mine to wonder what a third album, released at the appropriate interval, would have been like. I've decided that the theoretical album, would have been called Divided Towards the Altar. The pieces on the album, the titles, would contain words like rain, master, ambrosia, and fetish. The cover art would be a contemporary drawing by the German artist Erwin Frag. Now, moving along to the ongoing narrative taking place in the tiny community of Fig Pitch. Andrea gives up on the episode of Doctor Who very near the end, goes to her room. There's a stack of old cricket magazines in her room that belong to Jack. Jack gave them to Bob with the intention that Bob should give them to his little sister. Bob did so, but felt some misgivings about it because he knew that Andrea wouldn't appreciate the gift. She's not a big reader. And there's a certain aesthetic quality that cricket had, which he also knows that Andrea will not appreciate. But anyway, Andrea goes to the stack and, for whatever reason, picks out one of the issues and starts thumbing through it, and a photograph falls out. The photograph is of 2 women in their mid to late 30s to early 40s. The furniture of the room they're in, the decor, their clothing, all suggest that the picture was taken in the early 60s. She goes back into the den, as Bob's father calls it, where the TV is, to show him the picture. But it's at the very climax of the episode, and so Bob has no time for it. He pushes her aside. The climax of the episode shows that the Doctor has tricked the monster into plunging off the side of a cliff to its death. He goes down to investigate the body, joined by 2 members of the Indian tribe and 2 of the French fur trappers. They attempt to remove what they think is a costume, but it turns out it's a real monster. The episode ends with one of the Frenchmen humorously wondering how much the pelt of the creature would be worth. As the credits begin to roll and the iconic theme music begins to play, now Bob takes an interest in the photograph. He immediately recognizes that it must belong to Jack. On the pretext of returning the photograph to Jack, he gets possession of it from Andrea. However, he has no intention of returning it to Jack, but rather a plan is formulating in his mind that it will become some sort of talisman that he can secretly use for some sort of psychic power over Jack. Bob has begun to feel the growing tension between the 2 of them. There's an undercurrent that Jack is getting tired of Bob coming to visit him every day, and Bob is beginning to resent Jack's influence over him, even as he realizes that it has been of benefit to him. Jack is the one who first mentioned the Beatles to him. Jack is the one who introduced him to Mad Magazine. Jack is the one who first told him about the movie 2001: A Space Odyssey. Jack loaned him his copy of Harriet the Spy by Louise Fitzhugh to read, telling him what a great book it was. And so even as Bob likes Jack, it looks up to him in many ways, he feels he has too much power over him, and the photograph may be a way of balancing things out. So we're a little prematurely ending the episode, but that's about all I have to say for this time around. So thank you very much for listening.